Hello, friends, and welcome to a mini episode of the Marble and Sand podcast. This is a podcast that focuses on health and wellness and how you can incorporate that into living a vegan lifestyle. In today's mini episode, I wanted to focus on the beauty industry and some of the things that I've been seeing happening in the last couple of weeks. In particular, I wanted to talk about the beauty cosmetics brand Tarte Cosmetics and their recent brand trip, and also the beauty influencer Mikayla Noguiera, and how she may have had some deceptive advertising in one of her latest TikToks where she's doing a partnership with L'Oreal and trying out a new mascara. I remember when I first got introduced into the beauty community, it was around 2016, and I started watching beauty influencers like Jeffree Star, Nikita Dragon, also Bethany Mota. I never wear a lot of makeup. I'm definitely more into skincare and just kind of making yourself look nice without makeup. But I enjoyed the kind of entertaining factor when it came to watching the beauty influencers. Fast forward to 2022 and 2023, I've noticed that there's kind of a decline in the YouTube ecosystem for beauty influencers. And now things are more focused on TikTok and makeup artists that make videos on TikTok, or even just average everyday users of makeup and skincare, posting their tutorials, what skincare or makeup products they like, and just creating that connection with audiences more organically. A bit about Tarte Cosmetics. They aren't a new cosmetics brand. They've been around since around 1999, founded by Maureen Kelly. The first product was a cheek stain that was actually on the cover of Self magazine back in 1999. Brand trips aren't something that's new. I remember back in 2016, up until maybe 2018 or right before the pandemic, a lot of brands, makeup brands, did different trips where they would fly out influencers, mostly influencers that were popular on YouTube, to go to like different beaches, to go to Hawaii, to go overseas, and the whole trip would be sponsored by that brand. I remember one of the most famous brands for having brand trips was actually a clothing brand, Revolve. They would go to like Turks and Caicos and Thailand and then fly different influencers out. Earlier this year, Tarte Cosmetics decided to host a brand trip for 50 influencers, mostly from TikTok. And they decided to fly them out via business class to Dubai to experience some new Tarte products. Tarte has a variety of new products that uses maracuja oil. So I believe that the influencers were trying new products from that line. I saw that there was a bit of backlash on YouTube, social media, TikTok, about Tarte spending maybe $100,000 per influencer to send them to Dubai, and people questioned whether that money could be better spent elsewhere when it came to marketing or advertising. What I think is fascinating is that traditional advertisement, especially for brands that target Gen Z, millennials, and women, just don't work like they used to. People want to try new products that are maybe recommended to them from a friend or someone they know. And I think when it comes to different beauty influencers, they've kind of replaced that friend or someone you may know when it comes to recommending new products or trying new products. The CEO, Maureen, actually, of Tarte, said, well, some brands choose to spend $1 million or more on Super Bowl ads, and we decided to spend this money on a brand trip to create and foster that community. And it's something that Tarte has been doing for years, doing brand trips. So it makes sense that that would be their sentiment. Advertising just isn't like it used to be. Back I grew up and was a child of the 2000s. So back then there would be different celebrities promoting makeup products. Different celebrities had perfumes, like Paris Hilton had a perfume. Britney Spears had a perfume. You would see them on the L'Oreal ads. You would see them representing Maybelline, different models. I remember Tyra Banks, I believe, did a lot of Maybelline ads. And that's just something that resonated with the generation at that time. Fast forward to 2023, it makes sense that a makeup brand, a cosmetics brand, would spend that money on influencers, especially if they have a large following, because they're more likely to get more eyeballs if the influencer makes one post about the brand trip and it gets hundreds of thousands of views, maybe even 1 million views. And even if that turns into a dozen customers, that's definitely a good ROI, since with skincare and cosmetics, you're not just buying it once. It's something you're buying on a monthly, seasonal, or yearly basis. You know, you can maybe have a customer for life. From an ROI perspective, it makes sense for makeup brands to do this sort of advertising. Some of the backlash, especially from different YouTubers I follow that are women of color, was also that there wasn't a lot of representation or diversity represented on the brand trip. I do know that when it comes to the beauty industry and different influencers, especially the lifestyle influencers, the skincare influencers, they do typically tend to be not people of color or not women of color that have that large following. I wouldn't necessarily blame Tarte for that, because they're just picking influencers that have a large following. And if a lot of people of color don't have that large following, then it would be hard to pick them to go on the trip, because they're trying to reach out to those more popular influencers. I think in particular, just having like more inclusivity would be really nice when it came to the influencer industry, especially as things are shifting more towards TikTok and that short form content that brands want to create and foster. I think people should realize that women of color, buy just as much makeup, if not more. Black women do spend a lot on hair care and makeup in general, billions of dollars. So I think it would be great to see that in the coming years kind of be reflected in the influencer marketing. Now we have the TikTok beauty influencer Mikayla Noguiera. And I believe she used to work at Ulta and then started posting videos of herself doing makeup tutorials and doing different makeup looks. And she was able to garner a large following from that. She has millions of followers. And recently she did a sponsored TikTok for the L'Oreal telescopic lift, not lens. I'm thinking back to film school days. She did a sponsored post for L'Oreal's telescopic lift mascara. And people are saying allegedly she used false eyelashes while applying the mascara. Actually, I do know that when it comes to these mascara advertisements, when I used to see them on TV, I believe they always put false eyelashes on the models that were using the mascara in the ads. So it's something that didn't shock me. But I think when it comes to you're watching someone on TikTok, they're filming it on their phone, the average person doesn't compare that to an advertisement they see while watching network TV. It's kind of, even though from L'Oreal's perspective and the brand's perspective, the money they're using to pay the influencers or is the same bucket that they would use to pay for a traditional advertisement. So from their perspective, it's the same. But if you're a 15-year-old girl watching Mikayla try on the mascara, and then you're a 15-year-old girl watching a supermodel in a mascara ad on TV, you wouldn't see those as the same. What's very fascinating is this happened, I believe, a couple weeks ago. And Mikayla still hasn't addressed it. She hasn't said whether she was actually wearing false eyelashes or not. And a lot of people are kind of split on that. Half of the people are saying that, oh, it's awesome that she's not saying anything. She's unbothered. She's just living her life and going to move on. And then the other half are like, oh, this is terrible. You shouldn't have deceptive advertising. Another TikTok person talked about how ads have always had deceptive advertising. Like how for the cereal, I know I learned a few years ago that when they're putting like the milk in the cereal for an advertisement, it's not actually milk. They're using like a sort of paste there. And then when they're doing the cheese on the pizza for the commercials, it's like glue they're putting in there to make it look cheesy. And they're doing all these different things to enhance the experience that aren't really there. I do believe commercials do put in fine print that, this has been enhanced or this isn't exactly what you see. They put that on the bottom. I don't think TikTok beauty influencers are thinking like their commercials. So they may put that this is sponsored by L'Oreal or this is a L'Oreal partnership, but they're not thinking to put in the disclaimer like, oh, lashes may be enhanced with something other than mascara. Like maybe something like that could have been put in there. Overall, I think it's really fascinating where the influencer marketing industry is going and how I grew up really loving YouTubers, and now we have the next generation, Gen Z and Alpha, really loving TikTok influencers. And it's interesting how, regardless of the medium, whether it's TV, YouTube, or TikTok, you see some of the same trends and the same tactics used when it comes to marketing and advertising that's been around for decades, since advertising actually came in video. I believe that was in probably the 1950s. Actually, no, the first ad was July 1st, 1941. On TV. It aired during a baseball game in New York City, and it was for a watch. So advertising isn't something new, and I'm just hoping that as brands look to target their target audiences and target market, they realize that realism is really cool. Like that's why people follow their favorite influencers, because they are more relatable, and I think as we continue on this path of like relatability, we're kind of blurring the lines there between celebrity and influencer. It's all really fascinating. I'd like to end this episode with a couple of vegan food products I've tried this week. One is called WunderEgg. It is a new vegan egg in the style of a traditional boiled egg. They are made by, I believe, a plant-based food incubator called Crafty Counter. The ingredients are also really cool. It's also gluten-free. It has almonds and cashews, and it comes with a little black salt packet. Black salt has like a sulfury sort of taste, and it gives eggs that sort of eggy taste. So if you're making like a vegan egg dish, you can add, or want something to taste eggy like tofu, you can add the black salt to it, and it gives it that sort of egginess. My mom actually bought the eggs for me at Whole Foods, and they are $8 for 6 halves. So it is a little on the pricier side, but I think it's really great if you're craving a boiled egg, which is something I haven't had in a while, in like 3.5 years, then it's something that you can get just as a little treat for yourself. You can also find the products on craftycounter.com. It looks like they are also coming out with an egg white patty, and I think that's really great. For the hard-boiled egg, the egg white part tastes exactly how I remember egg whites tasting. And then the yellow part is very, very close to how I remember egg yolk tasting. So if you're craving a boiled egg, I suggest you give them a try. So this is the end of Marble and Sand, a beauty minisode, and I can't wait to do my next episode. I believe I'm going to also continue that conversation on the beauty industry, but focus on cruelty-free beauty and vegan beauty products. So should be fun. Stay tuned. And I wish you happiness and wellness on your health and wellness journey.